What up, y'all? Dan Poneman here, IllinoisHSBasketball.com, checking in with you guys for a little vlog to answer some questions that people have emailed in, discuss some of the top players and top games that I've seen so far, and also give some predictions for some things I'm going to be seeing in the next couple of weeks. The topics I'm going to discuss today are my opinions from the games at the CPS shootout at Chicago State this past weekend. A lot of great action, a lot of great teams, so obviously I got a lot to talk about for that. I want to talk about Jabari Parker, Alex Foster, and Thomas Hamilton, the three super freshmen in the state of Illinois, and how they did in their first few varsity games. I saw all of them play in their first varsity games, so I'll fill you all in on that. I want to talk about Jeremy Richmond and Wayne Blackshear and talk about who is the top player in the state. It's always kind of been assumed that Jeremy's a top player and he's a fantastic talent, but Wayne is breathing down his neck right now based on the first few games. I also want to talk about the shootout of the hall at University of Illinois this upcoming weekend and talk about some players to watch and some of the things I'm excited for that. I know some of you don't want to see all of these topics and only want to see a few, so for your convenience I made separate videos for each of the videos, so you can click on those too. Coming into this past weekend, I was really excited. It's a CPS shootout at Chicago State with a lot of great city teams playing against a ton of great suburban teams. This is an event that I always look forward to, that I have for years, because it's at the beginning of the season and always has awesome teams. I remember the first time I went to this event, it was when Chicago State had their old gym, and it was a lot smaller than their new gym, and there was a track around the top. I got there a little bit late, and luckily I got to sit on the court because I had a media pass, but for the people who came within 15 minutes of tip-off, didn't get in because Derrick Rose was playing his first game of the season against Mustafa Farrakhan and Thornton. I just remember being in awe of Derrick Rose's just overall ability because it was the first time I got to watch him from that close, being right on the court. And every year since, this event has always been top-notch. Some of the top teams in the state competed this past weekend, and a lot of teams lived up to their hype and some teams not so much. So I'm going to go through and just talk about some of the games I saw and a few observations I made. The two feature games in the second day of action were Simeon versus Thornton and Homewood-Flossmoor versus Whitney Young. Both games were very interesting, but both didn't unfold the way a lot of people expected. The Simeon-Thornton game was supposed to be a really close game, and I was excited to see how Thornton would react to having a 32-1 season or whatever it was last year and losing some of their key players, but still having some guys like Reggie Smith and Jay Parker from last year's team, and seeing how they'd react. Unfortunately, they didn't react in the way I hoped they would, and they did not step up and got a beating from Simeon. I knew that they would struggle not having guys like Richie Thompson and Travell Rivers down low, but I thought having Reggie Smith and Jay Parker in that backcourt would carry them through, and they'd at least be a pretty good team this year, but they really got shellacked by Simeon. Hopefully they can pick it up moving forward. On the other hand, Simeon was really impressive. From top to bottom, they just look like a really good team, and they're going to be a force throughout this whole year. They might be the most impressive team I've seen so far this season. The one player I was most impressed with, even though Simeon has a ton of talented players, was freshman Jabari Parker. He's the first freshman ever to start for Simeon, or at least in years, in anyone's recent memory. Benji Wilson, Derrick Rose, Nick Anderson, none of these guys started as freshmen on varsity for Simeon, and Jabari Parker did, and he lived up to all the hype. He was outstanding. His dad is former Golden State Warrior great Sonny Parker. Sonny's had a few sons who have played basketball, but Jabari, I think, could end up being one of the most special players to come out of Illinois in years. He's a 6'5" guard / wing, hits the three in the corner, gets offensive rebounds, plays defense, plays like he's a junior or a senior. I mean, I think he's an all-state candidate as a freshman. So I knew Jabari was great, but I did not know he was going to make this transition into high school basketball this easily.